Wednesday from the North Wisconsin woods and lakeside. You guys are going to love it. My accent is coming out. I was originally born in Wisconsin, and so, oh, it's going to happen. But today we're talking about lack mentality. This one is one that comes up all the time in coaching, and almost no matter what type of coaching you're in, business coaching, life coaching, and whatnot for our clients. Because the truth is, all things are possible, all answers are available to us. It is always our mentality that is blocking it, shifting it, or preventing something amazing from happening. So that's what we're going to look at today is some of the areas that lack mentality comes into play. And lack mentality is, it kind of goes with the idea of the art of manifesting, the law of attraction, that like attracts like. And so when things aren't going the way we want, our sales aren't going the way we want, a deal isn't going the way we want, it usually has to do with our mentality, not just about how we're seeing what's actually happening, because those might be factual, but also the opportunities to move forward and how that can be expanded into like exponentially better situations with a simple mind shift. So, some of this is actually, I'm going to start telling you guys some of the stories about how I have failed in business and in sales. As you all know, I'm an award winning attorney, I'm an award winning sales rep, and a longtime small business consultant. And yet, I've made plenty of mistakes along my route. My first business is not even a brand that exists anymore, and so on. So, talk about the action head your way today. We're going to go into a little bit of that 20 minutes of practical guidance where I'm going to help you understand what is lack mentality. And then we'll talk about three key areas. There are many more, of course, because entrepreneurship is much bigger than three things. But let's look at some of the three key areas. It comes in all the time. It sneaks in. It sneaks in, and we don't even realize we're in it. And then we're going to talk about how we can win big. How by these areas, just by a little mental shift, we can get things going. And as always, I'm going to give you guys a freebie at the end. And this is always designed for business owners, entrepreneurs, small business owners, never about the legal stuff, even though I am a licensed attorney. And who am I? My name is Acacia Thornton. I am the CEO legal coach. I help business owners create bigger deals, close better contracts, and get their contracts for their business set up for success. Usually, stopping revenue leaks or looking for ways to build bigger, better revenue for their future, no matter what phase they are in. Now, let's get into this lack mentality thing for a second. Lack mentality 101. If you're not familiar with the law of attraction and the idea of liking attracting like, what ends up happening is whatever frequencies we're operating on, whether it be a low frequency, a high frequency, a very great vibrancy, we're creating vibrations. And when we do that, it's like a magnet. It attracts things that are on the same frequency, same vibrations. And a big part of that is our mindset. Our mind is able to do so much with our bodies and so much with our world. And so, lack mentality is kind of the idea of scarcity, that there's not enough of something. It is the opposite of abundance, right? When we feel abundant, we're like, yes, happy, all things are possible, everything is here. I have enough, more than enough of money. I have more than enough food. I have more than enough sales and customers, and I feel great. Where lack and scarcity is there isn't enough. I can't find them, they don't exist. Oh, these problems are happening. We shift things from one side of the pendulum to the other. So, lack mentality is that scarcity mindset. It focuses on what is missing, what is not here or not capable, what's not good enough right now. My sales aren't good enough. And we focus on that as an entrepreneur from time to time. It's difficult not to. It's human nature, especially when we're going towards the goal, to realize that we're not living that goal yet. We haven't met that sales goal. We haven't met, the automation goals. We haven't met the staffing goals or the what geographies our company is in goals. We notice that difference. And what ends up happening is we focus on what's not here. And it's going to impact how we look at money, resources, time, relationships, and opportunities. So that's what lack mentality is. It's noticing where we are and how we're not having what we want is usually where it comes in. So we have these shifts. And the way it comes up in the day to day is we might compare ourselves with others. They have this, but I don't. Fear of missing out. Oh my God, I have to do these things or I'm not going to be good enough. I'm not going to have enough. I'm going to miss out. Hoarding behavior. When we hoard a lot, when we don't share and let things naturally have a flow in nature of in and out, give and take, we hoard. And we hoard because we say there's not going to be enough for me tomorrow. I need to save up. And saving is really good because it helps build a great future, create that foundation for forward growth. But that is a different mindset because that's a different investment that we are creating greater abundance versus I'm hoarding because there's not enough. Negative self talk. This is one I'm definitely guilty of. I grew up in a household where I was told I was never good enough. I was treated like I was never good enough. And so in my head, nothing's ever good enough. When of course it is. Of course, who I am is good enough. Who you are is great enough. Your ideas and business you're bringing into the world is enough. All we're doing is continuing to grow and progress. But when we focus on it not being enough, we can have that negative self talk track going off in our heads. And that is a form of lack mentality. And then, of course, difficulty sharing or giving, working with others. My father was a phenomenal entrepreneur, but when it came to working with others, sharing with others, finding business partners, trusting them, and putting the right building blocks of trust in place, he refused. And it actually ended up costing him his business at one point because he hit a wall and was unable to cooperate with others out of fear, out of control, out of him having to do everything and not realizing that collaboration and community can make a business grow exponentially. And so, what's really at the core of a lot of these things? Worthiness. Do I feel worthy? Do you feel worthy in your company? Do you feel worthy as a business owner? Do you feel worthy in all the trials and tribulations you have already overcome? Or are you so worried about the next one that you fear you're not going to be good enough to get through it? Because as we'll learn in today's session, you're never given something that you can't get through. It's impossible to ever be given a challenge you're not prepared to get through. You'll find your way. You will survive. You will get there because you were already worthy. No matter how hard, difficult, or shifting it might be, them versus us, you're always worthy. You are, but we forget that sometimes because we see all the noise in social media. We see all the noise of our competitors and how they're growing or shifting, or the economy, the news. Those all connect to a lack mentality where growth and success and achievement actually come out of that happiness, abundance mentality. So, what is the main area this happens in for a lot of us? Is sales and our client relationships, right? We're sitting there, there's not enough clients. There's not enough that I need to close this client, this client. I need this one because I don't know. There's no others right now. There's nobody else in my sales funnel. There's nobody else for me to reach out to. So what do? We start fear-based selling. We start discounting. We panic. I need to get this. I need to get this closed. This has to be the one, as if there's only one fish in the sea, right? We start hoarding our clients. We do. I'm not going to share them with somebody else, even if somebody else would be better for them. We don't do that out of fear that there's not the next one, or that helping somebody be their best won't help us be our best, right? We end up holding on, and sometimes we do this at a level that we end up neglecting our customers' needs. Our customer might be saying, "Hey, I need more time." The customer might be saying, "Hey, this is the new shift in our business." But you're like, "Yeah, this is what I need out of this sale right now. I need you to buy this package. I need you to get this product. You need this product." Even though your customer might not really need the product at this time. Maybe it's meant for tomorrow. And so we start to compete as well. We care about what our competitors are doing. What are they up to? We're competing. I need this customer. You need that customer. No, 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 that's mine. Oh my God, I'm losing market share versus a creating mindset. When we start to create, we create abundance. We're adding things to the world. We're adding value to the customers. We're adding things to the market versus when we're competing, we're trying to take, steal, and we create that adversity. Not necessarily that's real outside of us, but within ourselves. And when we tell ourselves and make ourselves believe energetically, emotionally, and mentally that that's the issue, we actually blind ourselves from the opportunity. And I really like, want to tell you guys a sales story. And the truth is, I didn't even know which one to tell you because I have panicked at this before. One of my sales jobs in Chicago for a Fortune 500, and it actually ended up being a year I won a lot of awards, but I didn't see that. I didn't see that. They're like, yeah, there's these three big fish. You need to go after them. And I kept trying to tell my corporate office, like, look, those three fish don't really exist. This one broke up. This one is under a different name in the account. They already have our product. It's under a different account. And then these guys went out of business. The three fish you're trying to tell me that I need to hit quota, they don't exist. And there's not enough fish in the sea in order to meet my quota. Corporate, you're wrong. The quota is wrong. No matter how much I act, this isn't going to happen. I started to shift that and started to accept I needed to take action. There are the same amount of lawyers, and the number of lawyers was growing. The number of customers was growing. All these things were there. Even in a recession, it's not like the number of people go down. It's not that the number of great business ideas decreases. No, those people are all out there. That was something that a lot of people were talking about during COVID. Oh, so many people lost their businesses. And it was horrible, horrible the way people lost their businesses. But here's the thing about an entrepreneur's mind. They won't let that stop them. They will learn from it. They will adapt, and they will continue to be creative and move and progress forward. As horrible as what was happening was in the market, the truth was those people still exist, and those brilliant minds are now stronger than ever. So, looking and focusing on what the negative was, we blinded ourselves from the positive. And what ended up happening for me in Chicago is I just kept getting my name out there. I just kept talking to people, kept doing the work. I believed. I believed that something was out there. And sure enough, waiting in the wing, there was a big group about to break off of one of the biggest clients in the industry. But they weren't my client because they belonged to a different segment, different team. But they were about to break off and fall exactly into my lap, my opportunity. All I needed to do was make sure they had my phone number. And so, sure enough, in the middle of the night, I think it was like Friday night, they're like, on Monday, we're opening a new firm. I got this much. Here's everything we need. Can you get me up and running? And I tripled the value of my biggest deal to that date with that. I kept the motion going. I believed. I knew that there wasn't a lack of customers, just where they were in their motion, where I was in my motion was all that it really was. It was my mentality. I didn't need to keep poking at this particular customer over and over again. I need more, $5 more out of you, $5 more out of you. If I did that to my existing customer base, they would have been exhausted by me. They would have felt overpicked at. They would have felt transactional and missed the true value of the relationships we had built. Instead, I kept working on those relationships so that when the right time came, the right person had my phone number. And that phone call came in and became one of the biggest fish in the sea that year in my territory, in my lab, because I believed that they were there. So this is one of those things that we sometimes end up focusing on this particular sale, this particular week, this particular month. Hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it, without realizing there's much more greater opportunity. We don't want to isolate and harness so much negative thinking that we're not filling the funnel, right? If you only have two customers to close this month, but what you needed was 10, it's not these two customers' fault. It's that the funnel didn't keep going. It's that these opportunities to keep getting the pond bigger and bigger weren't happening. We were focusing on what was right in front of us and noticing what we didn't have instead of allowing our minds and our actions to think bigger and beyond, to have an abundance mentality instead of that lack mentality, right? So thinking this big picture equals big growth. Plenty of fish in the sea. The next sale matters just as much as this sale. Looking at your entire funnel. And I love this one because this is one that really attracts me to certain coaches versus others. The right customer versus forcing any customer. The right customer is ready to buy if your messaging is correct. You don't have to force them. If someone's like, I don't know if your product's the right one for me or not, that's cool. That's cool. I am not meant for everybody. Not every product is meant for every person. Not every lawyer is meant for every company. We have different vibrations, different energies, different focal points. When the time is right, I know the right client base will be there. And I am always attracted to coaches and business coaches, finance coaches, life coaches that treat me that way, that allow me the freedom of choice for what is right for me as the customer. And so I'm a big believer in allowing that with all of the customers and potential customers out there. If you need to just watch some of my videos right now, that's cool. Take what you need, leave what you don't. I am here to share my message with everyone and help whomever I can, wherever you're at. That's cool. And that's going to bring me the right customers at the right time when they feel connected. And I believe in that. And I am always there as a great customer for other coaches and companies that treat the same way. And then the other big thing is, of course, celebrate your wins. Celebrate you. Don't let your lack mentality, oh my God, I was after 20,000 this month, but all I got was 10,000. Girl, you got $10,000 in. Dude, there are plenty of people out there that would like that. That is amazing for you. Especially if the biggest month you had before was 9,000. You just got another 10, a hundred, I mean, 100, another thousand in there. This is phenomenal. Celebrate every win. Sometimes the win is as simple as, you know what? I cold called 20 more people this week than I did last week. That's awesome because I believe they were out there. I found them and I introduced myself to them. Awesome. That is a win. Celebrate every little win. It's not just what's right in front of you, it's the energy and vibration we put out when it comes to our sales, not about hoarding, forcing, or making this one happen because this is the one I need. No, there's many more out there, and the right ones will be attracted to the right abundance mentality and solution, right? Which brings us into the next area. A lot of my clients have this mentality block. It's in the number of solutions to something. As entrepreneurs, we are great problem solvers. We can see so many things and get so much done. But sometimes we could sit there working at something, giving, pressing the wall, hitting the wall, forcing the wall, punching it, and yet the wall doesn't move. It feels like you're hitting your head over and over again trying to make something happen. And this one, I kind of call it tunnel vision. We can't see anything else because we're so focused on what we have decided to do. This was the way I know forward. That's the way we're going to do this. This is how I've done it before. This is how we're going to do this. This is what came up when I did my research. That's the way we're going to take it. And we don't start to realize that maybe there's more than one way to get it done. Maybe there's an easier way to get it done. Instead, we keep hitting the wall. You're like, I'm going to punch that wall. I'm going to keep hitting that wall till I knock it down. How do you even know what's on the other side of the wall? Sometimes the best way is to just step back because what's causing this is a lack mentality. The lack mentality of this is the only way to do it. This is the only way it could come to me. And we have, I believe it's tomorrow's session actually, manufactured manifesting versus inspired manifesting. And that is exactly a great solution comparison for this one. Is it's the idea that we force ourselves. This is the way I've made my plan for my business. This is the way it has to happen. It's like, well, look, there's other ways things can happen. Maybe the way you hit $1 million in sales this year is that you're going to end up having a joint venture. Maybe you end up collaborating. And you don't see those joint ventures or collaborations on day one because you had to get to day 180 with building on your plan for it to even be possible. And it's the idea that sometimes the universe can bring us solutions, people, and opportunities that we couldn't plan for. But when we're so focused on hitting this one, this way, not that it's not possible, we could still get it done, but we find ourselves exhausted, overworked, and potentially missing a great opportunity because we had that tunnel vision. And we find ourselves just putting out those little fires day after day after day after day without realizing there might be a different way to go. Ah, Mark. Oh, I want to tell you the story really quick. Okay. So this is one where it was really simple. My client had filed a patent And he had hired an attorney to file that patent, but to save money, he was doing everything else himself. And once you file a patent with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, there's often this thing called prosecution. It doesn't mean criminal prosecution, but it's this process where you really have to prove and demonstrate to the USPTO that your patent application meets the legal requirements, because the patent agent is going to really try to discredit you and say, no, it's not, because they want to make sure patents meet a certain standard. And that's what was happening here. He had a patent agent who had never granted a patent. So my client was like, I'm going to make this guy give me my patent. There's no way I'm going to let him stop me. So he was kind of getting his ego in there, right? Like, this is the way it's going to be. And he gets into these arguments with this guy, even though he was very professional about it. But he found himself in this tunnel vision way of thinking. The patent agent at the US Patent and Trademark Office was telling him his invention was too close to another one. He's like, look, it looks like this, and this. That one already exists. You can't have this patent. And so my client kept being like, yes, no, it's different. It's different. It's different. It's different. It's different. It's different. And I was like, Mark, step back for a sec. He goes, what? I'm like, you're trying to prove to him a difference in facts. He's like, yeah, we have this concept in law where if you can't win at the facts, you start to argue the law instead. Because here's the thing, the patent agent has to follow the law. So Mark was just like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. So I followed up with him like a week later. He's like, yeah, it worked. It worked. I was like, yeah, you kept hitting at this over and over again, having these calls, having these fights where the US Patent and Trademark Office now told him that if he wanted to extend it was going to be $5,000 to do so. Where I was like, stop hitting that same wall. Stop fighting that little moment. There might be other ways of thinking. And that's exactly what this idea is with manufactured versus inspired inspiration, but also what's so great about coaching with businesses, particularly those who know your subject matter area, is that sometimes clients get really, really focused on doing it this way, winning this way, that there might be other easier ways, faster routes, cheaper routes, lower cost routes that are absolutely worth the time and money. And so it's not the number of solutions that are available, that's infinite. It's that we end up focusing on one that blocks us from seeing the others. It is never the number of solutions to the problem that are available that is the problem. It is our focus on one solution that blocks us seeing the others. So when we get into this mindset awesomeness, the first step is to identify it. Realize things aren't going the way I want. I don't have the sales I need. I don't have the solutions I need. Identifying that there's a wall you're hitting. And the faster you can identify that you're even sensing a wall, the faster you can give yourself permission to shift your thinking. 'Cause that's all it is permission for you to shift your thinking. You don't need permission from anybody else. And then what are you going to do? You're going to sit in that moment, say, hey, how else can I do this? What's a better way of doing this? Are there alternative ways to doing this? Is there somebody I can ask? Is there a video I can watch? And give yourself the mindset reshift. Because when you do that, you're going to find yourself hitting the easy button. Easy, baby. Let it be easy. Don't feel that one solution is the only way forward. Give yourself the opportunity to reshift. Now, let's talk about our third one. And this is one where, as an attorney, especially one who's done contracts and negotiations for a lot of companies, it amazes me how much lack mentality and fear comes out in my clients when it comes to negotiations. Their mindset associations around arguments, contention, conflict, disagreement, anger, fear. What are all of these? These are all a form of lack mentality. So when it comes to your customer redlining your document or trying to negotiate a document with you, the client ends up just going into one of these, I'm scared. I'm unworthy of all of these things, and I'm just going to end up in pain. I just want it to go away. Just get it over with. I want to avoid the conflict. I'm going to get it over with, give them whatever they want, just hurry up and close the deal. I don't care. Well, maybe you should. Maybe you should care because the real meaning of the word negotiation is not conflict. It's not arguing. It's not pain. It's not anger. The real meaning of negotiation is to come to an agreement, to bring about or arrange something through compromise, to confer and come to mutual agreement. Negotiation has had this horrible connotation in our internal emotional and mental realities that we forget it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to agree and build something together that's greater than what was originally there. It is the opportunity to work together and come to a compromise. Giving the other side what they want is not a compromise because when you're giving the other side something they want, guess what happens? Nobody redlines in favor of you. They're taking something from you, asking something more of you, or promising you something less. Or the other category a red line might be is that something just wasn't clear to them or they didn't understand. And so, what ends up happening with all of those? You lose. You lose on all of them. And the point of an agreement is so that both parties are better together. And that requires that we change our mentality about what it means to negotiate and redline something. It is not an argument, it is the point to come to an agreement. It is not contention, it is the opportunity to bring about something greater. It is not conflict. It is an arrangement. It is a compromise. It is to confer and come to mutual agreement, not disagreement, not anger, but our mentalities. We have been taught to think that negotiating and redlining is mean, that it's meant to be a conflict. It never is. It was always about our mindset, always about the mindset and whether or not you feel worthy for your company. When we feel worthy that what our company is, what it stands for, how we do business, and what we need and have set up our companies to do and succeed at, we know that it's safe to set and communicate boundaries. I love that you want my product, but I cannot give it to you for less than my profit margin because that's what we need to have our insurance, to have our overhead, to keep my staff employed, to pay rent. We need that. Boundaries are important. It also helps you hold your customers accountable for a lack of respect. Just because your customer is getting your product does not mean they get to do whatever they want with it, but they may have put that into the contract. They may have put into your contract that they get to sell it, share it with whomever they want, however they want. That devalues you and the product you created, the value of your company. A negotiation of mutual understanding and respect would hold them accountable for disrespecting, but also enable them to have the opportunity to have greater access to your products. And success in this way is about long term and short term thinking, right? It is not one or the other. It's not hurry up and close this deal. It's how does this deal fit into the big picture for our company? How do we make both of our sides short, long term, but also the customer side, short and long term, be successful the right way? So, to get you all going, I'm going to give you a free NDA and non disclosure agreement. How this fits in today is an NDA is going to do two incredible things to help avoid lack mentality. One is going to start setting boundaries up front with your customers. But this NDA is not just about your customers, it is a mutual NDA. I love this because everything in this document is equal for both parties. Everything. Both parties agree to treat the exact same type of information the exact same way, with the same boundaries, the same safeguards, with the same terms. Everything is mutual here. It keeps, it starts your relationships off on the same foot, saying, hey, we do business the right way. We set boundaries, but we also take care of you, customer, the same way we ask that you take care of us. And that's great because there's never money involved. It is merely the promises to keep each other's information safe. So I want to start you off with that mutual non-disclosure agreement, and you can use it for any of your business-to-business relationships, suppliers, customers, vendors, investors, freelancers. All of it is going to be available to you. You'll get it customized for free. There's a video in there to help you do that in under 10 minutes. Now, it looks like this one, do you guys have any questions today? I'm not really seeing questions come in much. No. Oh, feedback. I love this. Oh, you're very welcome. I love it. Of course. I've always have. Yes, tomorrow is the mindset one about manifesting. This one's huge because this really is like the the easy button to the easy button. So definitely tune in for that. And it's going to be a shorter one because it's so quick. It's so easy. And once you understand the difference between the two, it's going to be amazing. So definitely catch that. But if you guys ever have any questions, you can always find me at CEOLegalcoach.com or put your comments below and I'll get to them as soon as I can. This has been Acacia, the CEO